Hello and welcome to a new video on the channel. Today I'm in Dearborn, Michigan, on the outskirts of Detroit at the Henry Ford Museum. If you haven't been here, I'd really recommend it if you get the chance. It's an amazing place. It not only documents the rise of the automobile, but also Ford in particular, but also technology, architecture and culture of America too. There's stuff here that I thought I'd never get to see, like Dan Gurney's 1967 winning Le Mans GT40, and also the prototype for the Mustang and the GM Impact. It's also got Greenfield Village attached to it, which is an 80-acre site where Henry Ford bought a lot of historic buildings from around the country and put them all here. It's basically an outdoor living museum, and it's even got the Wright Brothers cycle shop. Pretty cool. I'm not here to see the stuff that's on display to the public though, as I'm really privileged to have been invited to take a look at behind the scenes of the Henry Ford's vault to see some of the amazing stuff that they've got that's not currently on display to the public.
Are we allowed to take pictures?
Absolutely.
I like how you said that and I already am.
Sorry, I know.
So as you can see, Henry Ford was a bit of a hoarder. He liked to collect more than just one of the same thing, and lots of variants of the same thing, which, as well as cars, included everyday stuff like agricultural things and things that help catalogue the American way of life over the years. A great variety of horse-drawn stuff, and I do love anything with wheels, but it gets particularly interesting for me when it's got an engine strapped to it. Yeah. Single-cylinder Curtis from 1910. Edsel Ford's Lincoln. A Lincoln Pope mobile for Pope Paul VI, which he used in 1965 for his visit to New York and then in Bogota. Cadillac started building V8s in 1915, and this is one of them, and that helped build their reputation when others were making four-cylinder cars. This is a replica of the first car that Henry Ford ever built. It was built in 1963 for the centenary of Henry Ford's birth. A 1911 Indian, they were the biggest motorcycle manufacturer in that decade. An Excelsior, owned by Charles Lindbergh, obviously famous for the flight across the Atlantic. They really knew how to name cars in those days. Check out my Rambler Knickerbocker. This 32 Ford has got an interesting history. It's now got a 1951 Chrysler V8.
So this is what we call MSB, main storage building. It used to be the Ford office area. It's back end of the Ford engineering labs. Ford still occupies that side of it. When we took possession of this, it looked like a kind of zombie apocalypse.
That's JP Morgan Jr.'s Rolls Royce. The original JP Morgan obviously was famous for a lot of things, but also financing the Titanic and financing Nikola Tesla.
The last IDSA we did on site was sort of over in a corner.
A 1923 Chevrolet Series M, which was known as copper cooled. It was a famous financial disaster. Look that one up. This is very cool, a cutaway for shows of a Ford GT from 2005. I wouldn't mind that in the house.
It's just this is the price we pay for having limited real estate, limited exhibition real estate. Also, for providing context, because I think I mentioned when Henry Ford fight.
I could just look at it from this side and pretend I've got a whole Ford GT. A Depression-era Lincoln K Series still had 27 body styles to choose from. The first ever Ford factory race car from 1906 based on a Model K. Four-wheel drive and four-wheel steer in 1918.
Another show in, I think, 2003. So you could walk between it. There was sort of panes of glass, if you will. And then we've got
Thor made engines for other manufacturers like Indian and then started their own bikes in 1907. A whole bunch of what we Brits would call penny farthings. One of the backbones of the American agricultural industry, a 1925 Model T truck. 1897 Daimler Victoria. Just too many amazing things to mention here. It's just like an Aladdin's cave. It's like I've died and gone to car heaven. Before Hertz was Hertz Rental, he set up a yellow cab company in Chicago in 1925. I wonder if I can get that in my hand luggage. I'm not an expert on horse-drawn stuff, so if anybody's got any idea what these are in the comments, please let me know. But they look fantastic.
You come in here and think design sections, but once you start looking at spring designs, like what you use in garden tools.
Seems like there was no shortage of craftsmanship in those days.
Harvest at different times, dry for different lengths. So it is kind of hard. It's very high tech and it's weird.
I love these. If you're buying a carriage in the 1800s, you need to know what it looks like next to a horse.
Car. That was probably one of the hardest cars to collect. It would be easier to get another Bugatti than to acquire a Dodge Omnis because nobody cared about Dodge Omnis. And the ones who did used them and used them.
A Packard Twin Six lorry used by the company president when he wanted to demonstrate how tough it was to the army in Mexico when they placed an order.
To beware at some early time. I think the other thing we love about storage is, unlike the museum where we
An early threshing machine. I'm not sure of the origin. If you know in the comments, let me know.
Articulated with the right things. Here you get these really strange bedfellows, like a calliope next to a threshing.
This is really cool. A 1917 musical carriage that was used by circuses when they paraded through villages.
The front bulb.
My understanding is it's part of the pumping apparatus, so the boiler's here. Okay. And this was designed to tie into a municipal water supply. Okay.
I'm not complaining, but it just goes on and on and on. It's absolutely amazing. This is very cool, the 1953 Ford X100 that was built for the 50th anniversary with 50 innovations like heated seats and a phone.
On their way into Lincoln's production line.
I remember seeing this concept car. Blimey, was it 1996? A 1983 prototype for a cheap to make and cheap to buy car. Didn't make it to production.
Yeah, 6 of them.
6 of them was it? Sorry, not 7.
There was a 7th that was begun, I think, but never completed.
The Cord, of course, well ahead of its time with pop-up lights and no running boards. That's about it for the cars, but we have got some really interesting other things to see. So stay with me. It's a Cord.
All of that's potentially of interest to us.
Such a privilege to be able to see the original documentation from founding the company in 1903. It's even got Henry Ford's
Well,
signature.
because of the staff, we all work together.
Here's an early share certificate as well for $100.
Do you have a whole shelf for Ray and Charles, or is it mixed?
For sure. For sure. I guess that's a good point to bring up. We work very, very closely with other organisations, large archive.
It's amazing to see such a massive company just founded by this handful of people. I think some of them were clerks or secretaries, so it really was a bit of a team effort. Here's all the archives going back to 1903. Some of the outrageous nuclear-powered concept cars. A model of a Tesla motor, not from a car, obviously. Nikolai Tesla.
Of the patent office in January of 1880. It was submitted by the fellow whose name you see at the bottom, Edison, Thomas Edison. At the end of December 1879, that light bulb you see there had been part of the first demonstration, public demonstration of incandescent lighting in the US. That's one of the few surviving lamps from that demonstration. More about that in a minute, but even before the month was out, he'd submitted a patent application to the patent office for a system of electrical generation and distribution. So that's the fundamental patent model for the electric lighting system that Edison develops, and it aims to demonstrate in model form. very, very strange bedfellows up in this area. The beauty is that, you know, it's all got locations, it's all catalogued.
Now, this might seem like it's turning into a bit of a Dennis Collins video where we eat food at the end of the video, but while I was here, I actually went to Ford's Garage, which is a burger joint restaurant, which obviously is Ford themed and historically Ford themed. Anybody who lives in America is probably fairly familiar with this. There's some in Florida, Indiana, Kentucky, Michigan, Ohio, and Texas. But I thought it was neat. They've got the petrol pumps outside, they've got the old logo, they've got a couple of Model A's and stuff like that. I think they're Model A's, please correct me. I'm sure I'll get ripped apart in the comments if they're not Ford Model A's. It's a bit theme parked, they've got merch and everything else, but the food was pretty good and I really liked it. I love a slice of Americana at the best of times, so yeah, this was really good fun. But anyway, that's about it for this video. I really hope you like what you saw. I had a great time and I feel really privileged to go behind the scenes at the Henry Ford, and thanks to all the team there. Anyway, please like and subscribe if you get the chance, and hit the notification bell as it lets you know when I produce new videos. Thanks very much for watching, and bye for now.